It was supposed to be the happiest week of their lives. 32-year-old Daniel Morris had just become a father. Friends described him as quiet, hardworking, even protective. His wife, 29-year-old Alyssa Morris, had delivered a healthy baby boy just 4 days earlier at a suburban hospital outside Columbus, Ohio. Family members said Daniel cried when he first held the baby. But behind the hospital smiles and congratulatory messages, something darker was brewing. Because almost immediately after the birth, Daniel began asking questions. Questions that would turn into accusations. And accusations that would end in tragedy. A sudden shift. According to relatives, Daniel's mood changed the second day after Alyssa gave birth. He stared at the baby for long stretches, silent, studying his features. The baby had darker hair than Daniel, a slightly different skin tone, a nose that Daniel insisted didn't look like anyone in his family. At first, Alyssa laughed it off. Newborns change, she told him. Doctors say babies don't even fully resemble their parents yet. But Daniel wasn't convinced. By the time they returned home from a hospital, he had already brought it up 3 separate times. "Are you sure?" he allegedly asked her. "Sure about what?" she replied. "That he's mine." Seeds of suspicion. Friends would later tell investigators that Daniel had always struggled with jealousy. 2 years earlier, he had briefly accused Alyssa of texting a coworker too frequently. That argument nearly ended their marriage. But they reconciled. They attended counseling. And when Alyssa became pregnant, family members believed the couple had finally found stability. Yet in the weeks leading up to the birth, Daniel reportedly began revisiting old doubts. He questioned timelines. He calculated conception dates. He even went through Alyssa's phone while she slept. Investigators later discovered internet searches on his laptop. How accurate are hospital paternity tests? Can hospitals mix up babies? How soon can you demand a DNA test after birth? His paranoia was escalating. The demand. On the 4th night home from a hospital, things reached a breaking point. According to neighbors, shouting erupted around 9:40 p.m. Alyssa's sister, who had been staying with them to help with the newborn, told police Daniel walked into the bedroom holding his phone. "I want a DNA test," he said. Alyssa, exhausted and still recovering physically from childbirth, reportedly burst into tears. "Daniel, what is wrong with you? I have never cheated on you." But Daniel insisted. He accused her of lying, of betrayal, of humiliating him. The argument grew louder. The baby began crying. And then, suddenly, there was silence. The 911 call. At 10:17 p.m., emergency services received a frantic call. It was Daniel. His voice was shaky but controlled. "My wife isn't breathing," he said. "We had a fight." She collapsed. Paramedics arrived within 7 minutes. Alyssa was found on the bedroom floor. She had suffered severe blunt force trauma to her head. Despite attempts to revive her, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Daniel was taken into custody for questioning. What police discovered. At first, Daniel claimed Alyssa had attacked him during the argument. He said she pushed him, that she tripped, that she hit her head accidentally. But investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies. There were defensive wounds on Alyssa's arms, bruising around her neck, and a broken picture frame on the floor with traces of blood. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide. The cause, traumatic brain injury caused by repeated force. Not an accident. The DNA truth. Here's where the story takes its most tragic turn. As part of the investigation, authorities processed a court-approved paternity test. The results came back within days. Daniel Morris was 99.99% confirmed to be the biological father. The baby was his, completely. When detectives informed him of the results, reports say he stared at the table and said nothing. Not a word. A pattern of control. As the investigation unfolded, friends and family began revealing more about the marriage. Alyssa had confided in her sister months earlier that Daniel sometimes became intense when insecure. He would question her whereabouts, ask for constant reassurance, apologize afterward, promise to change. Classic cycles of emotional volatility. but no one believed he was capable of violence, especially not days after becoming a father. Community reaction. The neighborhood was stunned. Neighbors described hearing arguments before, but nothing physical. A makeshift memorial of flowers and stuffed animals appeared outside the home within 48 hours. Alyssa's co-workers described her as warm, patient, devoted. She waited years to become a mom, one colleague said. That baby was her world. Now that baby would grow up without her, and with the knowledge that his father killed his mother over a suspicion that wasn't even true. The psychology behind it. Experts say paternity-related violence, while rare, is often tied to insecurity, possessiveness, and fear of humiliation. For some individuals, the idea of raising another man's child triggers intense emotional reactions tied to ego and identity. But in this case, there was no betrayal, only paranoia, unchecked suspicion, and a demand that escalated into irreversible violence. The aftermath. Daniel Morris was charged with second-degree murder. He pleaded not guilty. His defense attorney argued it was a crime of passion fueled by emotional distress. Prosecutors disagreed. They pointed to the internet searches, the escalating accusations, the physical evidence. This was not a moment, the district attorney stated. This was a build-up. Meanwhile, custody of the baby was granted to Alyssa's parents. They released a statement saying, "Our daughter gave her life bringing this child into the world. We will make sure he grows up knowing how deeply she loved him." A life destroyed by doubt. In the end, what makes this case so heartbreaking isn't just the violence. It's the timing. For days after childbirth, at a moment when healing, bonding, and celebration should have filled that home. Instead, suspicion poisoned it. One demand, one argument, one violent outburst, and now 3 lives are forever changed. A woman who never got to raise her son, a child who will grow up without his mother, and a man who will likely spend decades behind bars, all over a doubt that wasn't real. Final reflection. This case raises difficult questions. How far can insecurity go when left unchecked? How dangerous can suspicion become when mixed with anger? And how many tragedies begin not with hatred, but with doubt? Because sometimes it only takes one accusation to destroy everything.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.